Yo, 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 yo. So we're going to try a video for this week along with the written portion of the email newsletter. I'm aware that some of you guys want to try a video method maybe as opposed to the boring written text that I had done previously for the other weeks. And so let's see how this goes for today. I'm going to try to keep this video to about 5 to 10 minutes, no longer than 10 minutes for sure. And let's try it out. Here we go. So the two biases of this week are going to be the contrast misjudgment bias and the stress influence bias. So the contrast misjudgment bias is just talking about how we make mistakes with our decisions in regards to comparing and contrasting things. So an example would be one that I use in the written portion. If you had to choose between 3 different people to date, the first one is someone that is really attractive, they're rich, they're famous, they travel the world, they're adventurous, they're fun, they're basically a lot of attractive qualities, but also they can be very negative, manipulating, anxious, fearful. So that's the first choice. The second choice is, and this is just a little game that we're playing here. I mean, I understand some of you are married or are dating someone currently, but anyway, so the second person is someone that is not famous. They're not super wealthy. They're, working a 9-to-5 job, just average income. They are mildly attractive, but they're awesome to get along with. They're super kind, caring. They are super positive. They are very mentally healthy, physically healthy. They eat well. They exercise, all this stuff. And then the third person is an unknown person. It'd be like a blind date almost. So a blind partner, I should say. And so you got to choose between the 3 of them. So how would you go about analyzing that? Would you decide based on your values and needs, or would you decide based off of emotion? Or are you just going to compare the 3, or just 3, one, just comparing by itself? Although I already did that for you because I gave you the pros and cons of each, of at least the first 2, the unknown person, that's going to be up in the air. And then, another example of this bias would be when you go to Amazon.com and you see that for each product, they have the original price, and if you notice, they have a slash through it, and then the discounted price or supposed discount. Even that, just comparing the original price to the discounted price is misleading, because they could have made up whatever number they wanted for the original price to make it seem like it was a good deal when it may or may not have been. So it's good in that situation to look at similar products to decide if the original price is actually legitimate or not. Another example would be, this is not one that I wrote down, but it would be like if you are comparing yourself to your friend as far as how successful you are compared to them. Let's say they're more successful, they make more money, they have more friends, they travel more, blah, blah, blah. So doing that can be a positive only if you're trying to take the strategies and habits out of that person, try to copy that for your life. But if you're looking at it from that standpoint, you're going to feel shit about yourself because they're just better at you than pretty much most things. So it can make you feel like shit. Or you could just look at, if you're trying to build yourself up in your confidence, look at where you used to be, compare yourself to where you used to be, and see how you've improved in areas, and that can help you, build confidence and feel better about yourself too, as opposed to comparing yourself to someone better than you or someone worse than you to make yourself feel better. So it's a more productive way to do it. And just doing pros and cons list So that was the first bias, the contrast misjudgment bias. So just basically talking about how we compare or contrast things. Are we doing it in a healthy way or in an unhealthy way? And the second bias would be the stress influence bias. So basically it says that when we're under stress, we tend to make bad decisions. So what that would mean would be decisions that are based on emotion, bad logic, and also when you're under stress, there's two hormones that are released in your brain and your body, which are adrenaline and cortisol. So if you have those two things released, it can cause you to be very emotional, which when we're making decisions, we want to make sure that we're as logical as possible, if possible. I know that's going to be tough because sometimes, we're emotional creatures and we want to make emotional decisions, but it's not always the best thing to do. However, everything's not black and white, so you catch my drift, yo. So going off of that stress thing, so my question for you would be, how can you incorporate breaks into your day so that way you don't wear yourself down? And they don't have to be super long breaks. It could be, maybe you're working at your job or wherever you're at or at home, and maybe you work for 25 minutes and you take a 5-minute break, or you work for 10 minutes and you do a 10-minute break, or you work for 20 minutes and you do a 10-minute break also. So there's different ways you can do it. And then it's like, what are you doing in that break? Are you going to meditate? Are you just going to sit there and look at nature, go for a walk? Are you going to watch a YouTube video? And maybe even something to think about too is, what are you doing in the morning? To prime your brain for the day. Are you going through some routine all the time, like affirmations or a cold shower or a tea or whatever that may be? Just figuring out what works best for you, and making sure that you're re-energizing yourself and not wearing yourself out, because we're moving so quickly today with our schedules that sometimes we forget to take the time to slow down and be grateful, which releases a lot of positive emotions in our body, energizes us. And also the other thing too to be aware of when you are stressed, because it will happen, is the tendencies to make a quick decision. So make sure you're still taking your time and not rushing through it. And if you need to come back to that decision later, that's fine. And then even in your relationships, making sure that if you're getting angry at your partner, is it because you're stressed, or is it because of something legitimate? So just some things to think about. And so that was the contrast misjudgment bias, which talks about comparisons and making good decisions in your comparisons. And then also the stress influence, making sure that we're in a good mood and we're making decisions and doing it logically. And that's this week. We did 8 minutes here. Look forward to next week, and peace.